Hello everyone and welcome to Camping with Lenny. In this episode, how to brew a coffee while camping.
This episode is brought to you by me, Camping with Lenny. Help me create great content by supporting this podcast by buying me a cup of coffee at buymeacoffee.com/campinglenny. Thanks for your support.
When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you want to do? Is to drink coffee. For me, it is the ritual of making your coffee in the morning outside in front of a fire is the best way to start a camping trip. Coffee for me is like like I said, it's a ritual. It is it's an outer body experience. I know it sounds very, very weird to say that, but some people are addicted to coffee, not because of the caffeine side, but the taste of it. For me, it's a taste. I drink one coffee a day, possibly two, depending on the day. But for me, waking up, getting out of your tent, and the first thing you do is start a fire while your fire is growing. You're boiling your water and getting ready for your first coffee. And for me, that is the best way to start a camping trip. So I'm going to give you 5 typical ways to make coffee while camping. The full disclaimer, this is not all of it, but this is my top 5 that I used before while camping and what I have experienced with. Okay. Plus, I'm going to give you my top, my 2 favorite ways to make coffee. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm currently using as well. So let's start. Number 1, your trusty percolator. This is also known as a cowboy coffee. It is it's just a pot. It's a pot that brews coffee in a continuous cycle by boiling your water and brewing it through the grounds using gravity until the required strength is reached. So in other words, this thing literally cycles itself until your coffee strength is required. So how it works is you pour water in, then you put your spigot and your little chamber where your coffee is, right? And when it starts boiling, the water will go up this little pipe into the top of the unit and start soaking the coffee. Then after that, it will automatically drips back down. So in other words, it's just circulating the water within the pot to get the coffee you need, the coffee or the strength of the taste of the coffee you are looking for. So the good thing about doing this kind of coffee, it will tell you. It will give you the ability to find to reach. Sorry, I'm saying the wrong words here. It'll give you the ability, give you the opportunity to find the exact strength, taste of your coffee while the water and your coffee is circulating with each other. Okay, hopefully I explained it properly, but it's pretty cool. But I've done this in a camping trip before, and it's great. And to be honest with you, I do like that coffee what comes out to it because I do like stronger tasting coffee, so that's why I like it. I like this methodology of making coffee. But the problem is this: it is a very big pot. If you plan to go car camping, this is perfect. If you're planning to go backcountry camping, this is the worst idea you're ever gonna do because it's a big unit to carry with you. It's heavy, it's big, and it's clunky. And if you want to do just attach it to your bag while you're walking, go for it. But if you're planning to go backcountry, a percolator, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a good idea because it does create weight and bulkiness of the of your pack. But if you are going car camping and you do have space, percolator is a great option when you need coffee in the morning. Great option, very, very good options. You need to be very careful regarding your grinds, your coffee grinds. too fine of a grind, it will go through the container where you put your coffee in. It does go through. Next thing you know, you'll have a very grindy tasting coffee. But if you do have something a little bit more coarse of grinded coffee, then you're not gonna have that issue. But just keep that in mind. So if you are planning to go that route, just make sure you do your proper research regarding how to grind your beans. Okay. The next one, I've used this methodology before, and I have no issues with it. I do like it as well too, but not as it's a love-hate relationship in my end. It is the espresso pot, also known as a mocha pot. It's literally, it makes up two chambers. One is you put grinds in at the bottom. You pour water in there, and it will, yeah. You put water, then you put your grinds, and you screw in your top. Then the water will boil and push the coffee like in a pressured water by steamed. It will push the water on top, and that's where you pour your coffee. It is a very great coffee tasting, but there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of process that you have to do to make this work. If you're seasoned at it, then yeah, no issues. But your first time doing this, try it at home first before you try it in camping, because I'm looking for the right word to say it without insulting everyone. It's a very hands-on experience to make this coffee. I've used this coffee before, this style of coffee. I've drank coffee from this before, and the brew that I got out of it was delicious. But again, it is a lot of steps to make this work, and but if you're willing to make that step, the coffee comes out of it is very good. So it is very close to an espresso tasting coffee. If you like espresso, this is great. But if you're not a big fan of espresso, I don't recommend this. But the thing is, the good thing about this whole thing is you can get different sizes. If you're planning to go camping with this, and if you're going backcountry, no issues. You can get the smallest version, like a 1 cupper, and you'll be fine. But if you're planning to provide coffee for 4 people, your pot size do get bigger, and you do have to drag this around if you're backcountry camping. If you are going car camping, perfect, no issues whatsoever. But you do have to figure out your water to coffee grind ratio, because too much grinds can be very. It's a different taste than not enough grinds. So experiment first and test it out before you head out to your camping, and try a couple of times and see if the recipe that you're using for your coffee works for this one. Okay. The third one that I have a love-hate, more in a hate side relationship, is instant coffee. Instant coffee is great if you're in a bind or backcountry camping. Reason why is this: they take regular coffee, they crystallize it, freeze drying it, whatever they need to get done, and put in a packet, like a 1 serving package or 1 bottle, depending on which one you end up getting. You just need to add hot water or hot milk to make this work for you. I don't know what to say about this. I don't know what my feeling is very simple. I've used instant coffee in the past. I like some of them, and I don't like some of them. I've tried just regular black coffee, different flavors, all the way to sweetened coffee that's already has sugar and milk already mixed to it, like a half and half. Sorry about that. But it's a I just don't like the taste. It assaults my taste buds when I drink this coffee. If I'm like really, really desperate for a coffee and that's the only one left in the world, then I'll drink it. I'd rather drink something else. I'd rather drink It's not my biggest fan. This is not my biggest fan of style coffee. But if you are backcountry and you need coffee, and this is the lightest thing you can get, it's the only option you have. It's so portable that you can put it in your pocket and you won't even know it's there. That's how portable this is. But again, you are sacrificing the portability to the taste. So you just have to keep that in mind if you're planning to go this route. Is you need to know if this is perfect for you, especially for the taste. So just keep that in mind. Okay. The fourth one. Actually, my fourth and fifth one. This is two of my favorite ways to make coffee. I'm still using them, and I use them for my regular day-to-day and my camping trips. So this is why this is my favorite ones. The first one I'm going to be talking about is the pour over coffee. This is my go-to methodology when I go camping, and also my go-to when I go to the office or if I go traveling. This is my go-to one, especially if I'm going to drink hotel coffee. So, pour over coffee, hands down, it's the most easiest and most portable way to drink your coffee. It's literally like a molded brewing funnel. That's the best way to describe it. It's just a funnel that you put a filter on top, then you put your coffee grinds on top of that, then you pour hot water on top of your grinds and it will automatically seep down. The filter is there to make sure the grinds doesn't go to your coffee, right? And after you pour your water, let it sip down, let it sip down to your mug, then you drink it, right? The only thing that you have to remember is this is when you have to start experimenting regarding your coffee to water ratio, also known as your coffee recipe. You need to know what kind of coffee recipe you use and how you want to perfect it. It is each to its own coffee recipe. My coffee recipe is completely different than yours, different than your brothers, your sisters, your partners, you name it, it's completely different. It is very individual style coffee recipe. Good thing about this one is like the funnel, the molded funnel, that the coffee funnel that you'll be using. There are two types you can get that I used before and what I recommend. It's the plastic one, the molded plastic one, or the ceramic one. If you are planning to have this at home, ceramic one is perfect, right? But if you're planning to go camping, get the plastic one because it's lighter, easier to carry, it's easier to transport. Okay. With that said, though, my pour over coffee system that I use is it's actually an all-in-one system. It's from Wacoca Coffee. It's the Kappa Mocha portable drip coffee mug. I'm not sponsored by those guys, but Wacoca, if you're planning to sponsor someone, sponsor me because I'll use your products every day. But I'm just saying that this is what I use. The reason why I use the Wacoca coffee pour over coffee mug is it's an all-in-one system. It's you put a filter on top, you pour your water, it goes straight to your mug, then you remove the funnel, then you put your coffee top cover thing on top of your mug and you're good to go, right? I use the same mug when I go traveling in a plane. I just bring that whole kit with me and I'm good to go when I go anywhere with it. So I use that system, works really, really well. It has a 10 ounce, I believe it's a 10 ounce coffee mug. And my coffee ratio is actually based on a 10 ounce water. So it works perfectly from my side. And again, depending on your recipe, it may or may not work for you. But there are other systems out there you can look at. But for camping, this is what I use. When I'm traveling, this is what I use. Even when I just travel by car to an appointment or in the early morning, I use the same system as well. It's a pour over. It's a great way to brew coffee. It's very simple. Good. The only downfall is this though. You do need to keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on the way that when you pour your coffee in it, right? Some people pour how many ounces of coffee until it reaches the rim, the top part of your coffee filter or your coffee funnel, then let it pour down, and that's it. And some people like a little bit more coffee. That's fine. But if you do pour water and you do multiple times, it will overflow your coffee mug. So you do have to keep an eye on that, so just in case it goes over. There's ways you can brew your coffee properly. You can bloom your coffee first, your coffee grinds with hot water, a little bit of hot water, let it start, then pour over more. So there's ways, there's the methodology of putting making coffee through a pour over. You have to practice, you have to figure it out that yourself and how you want your coffee. So there's great resources on the internet to do that. Go for it. That's one of the biggest, one of the two favorite methodologies that I drink coffee in. Okay. The second one is the French press coffee. When I started drinking coffee, and it gets very, very serious about, I want the flavor of coffee. I don't want the coffee maker ones anymore. When I went to my phase of pretentious coffee drinker, I started with French press. French press coffee, hands down, is so good. It is, in my opinion, is way better than pour over coffee, but there's cons in that methodology of coffee making. Okay, let's start with the French press. I'll tell you guys how it actually works. It's pretty cool. So you get your canister, right? It can be glass, it can be plastic or whatever, but I prefer glass. You put your coffee at the bottom, right? First thing, you pour your coffee, right? And after that, you pour your water on top of that. Stir it a bit, right? And after that, you put the cover on top. The cover actually has a plunger, also known as a mesh piston, right? So you have to let it simmer. For me, I let it simmer for about 5 to 8 minutes, depending how big the French press is. Okay. So after that time, then I slowly press the plunger or the mesh piston, and that's one of my favorite ways to describe it, is the mesh piston down slowly. Not too fast, because the grinds can actually pop out from the piston and you get grinds in your coffee. You don't want that. You slowly push it down until it reaches the bottom. As soon as it reaches the bottom, I let it sit for about 30 seconds to a minute, a little bit more. After that, you pour your coffee on your mug and you're good to go. Okay, here's the trick though, having a French press coffee. I personally I grind my own beans when I do French press coffee. Reason why is I want to make sure that the oils are there. If you have a layer of if you have oils, you can see oil in your coffee. If you see that little golden shimmer of like streaks, that gives you that extra flavor, that's just a quoi in the coffee that you like. It's so good, right? And having that extra little flavor makes this methodology of coffee drinking so much better. But if you're planning to go camping with this kind of French press, that's the biggest issue. If you're planning to go backcountry with a French press, if you have a glass one, that French press may or may not show up to your campsite intact. There are plastic versions, there are the travel mug versions. There's so many versions out there with this style of coffee that I tried, and it's just there's flaws. It's not the same. So French press style coffee in the camping world, especially if you're backcountry, does not travel well, right? If you are car camping, then no issues whatsoever. Go for it, right? But if you are planning to go backcountry, this is not going to work. There's other better options out there, like the pour over one, or the espresso pot is good, and the instant coffee, if you like that kind of stuff. Right, so those literally your options. In my opinion, your typical ways of making coffee while camping. There are other options out there as like the AeroPress and those other things as well too. But if you are planning to do any of the 5 that I mentioned, make sure you test it first. Test it first before you go. Before you go camping. Sorry, I keep hitting my glass in my mic. Sorry about that. Test it first. Test it. See if this methodology, this kind of coffee making is for you. Because if you don't practice and you don't get your recipe sorted out before you head out, you'll have bad coffee, or you're gonna have extremely strong tasting coffee or very bland tasting coffee. Test it. Experiment a couple of weeks before you head out. Find out exactly the way you want to taste your coffee in the morning, because you're starting your day with coffee, right? And if you don't start your day properly, you'll be miserable the whole time. And if you're miserable, you're not going to enjoy your trip outside. And the first thing you'll be in your mind when you get home is like, if someone asks you how's your trip, the first thing you think about your head is like, the coffee sucks. Congratulations, you brought the coffee with you. So it's not the weather. If the weather can be very, very miserable and you have good coffee, who cares about the weather, right? So experiment with your coffee, double check exactly what you're looking for, test it before you leave, and enjoy it. And do me a favor, if you do that, do it in front of a roaring fire in the morning and just sit there. Sit there with your cup of coffee in your chair facing the fire and just let it take a deep breath, and you just let the world pass you by. It is one of the best feeling you're ever going to have when you go camping and having a coffee in the morning. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. If you like what you're hearing, consider supporting this podcast by buying me a cup of coffee. Link in the description. You can also visit campingwithlenny.com. There you can find other episodes and links that can help you on your next camping adventures. Thanks again.